Hey guys, I'm Meteorologist Joe Fitzwater. Wanted to provide an update on what we can expect as we head toward this weekend here across the tri-state. We are looking at the potential for some wintry weather, and so I thought I would dive down here just for a few minutes to kind of talk about what we can expect. This is what we're looking at so far this morning, and it's been a very cold rain, even some snowflakes trying to mix in here in the lowlands. We've had some snowfall accumulations across parts of southeastern Ohio, which has been pretty impressive here so far this morning. Some areas around a half inch to an inch of snow. So that's been pretty impressive here considering that we are in the second week of March. But this is not really the storm system that I'm interested in talking about. I'm actually more interested in talking about storm system as we head toward Saturday here across the region. So I wanted to show a couple of the models here to kind of give you an idea of what they are showing here and why that could come out true or not true. So we'll put this into motion here. This is the European model as we go out to Friday into Saturday. Now what's going to be happening is we're going to have a cold front, and I'll actually show this right here. We'll have a cold front Friday morning draped out near the area. Now depending on how far south and east this cold front moves through the region, will ultimately determine whether we see a lot of snow or not. But this area of low pressure out across Texas where my cursor is, that's going to ride up along this front. That's where things get really complicated. And I'll show you why here in just a minute. But basically what's going to happen is as we head towards Saturday, this area of low pressure will work its way up to the south and east. If it gets to our south and east, that cold air will be allowed to work its way into the area behind that front, and that would mean that we're more likely to see some accumulating snow here across the region. If that area of low pressure is directly overhead or slightly to our north, that means we're going to be on the warm side of the system, and that means we're more than likely going to see a lot more rain mixing in. So a couple of things, even with this setup, that we have to keep in mind here with this counterclockwise flow, there will be a warm wedge that's going to come into play here with this storm system to a certain degree. So that's kind of strike number one here against the system. But there's a couple of other things that we have to look at too. First off, we're looking at the ground temperature. It's going to be a lot warmer here. We have some pretty mild weather on the way here for Friday, and we've had some pretty mild weather here over the last several days. In fact, we got to just almost 80 degrees back on Saturday, got to 79 degrees. So those ground temperatures are pretty warm. So it's going to take a while to allow that ground to get cold enough to where that snow starts to accumulate. Secondly, we have something called solar radiation. The radiation a little stronger in March than it is in December, January. It's a little harder for that snow to accumulate. So with that being said, that will ultimately cut down on totals here just a bit. So let's go back to the European model so that we can show you. This is Friday morning, and here comes this band of snow forming with this area of low pressure that's going to be approaching here as we head toward Friday night into Saturday. So it's all above freezing here by Friday night. And it's going to take some time for that cold air to work its way in. And that's kind of another strike that I kind of wanted to bring up about these types of storm systems. The cold air is usually always a little fast on the models. They usually have a hard time picking up when that cold air is finally going to work its way in enough to transition that rain over to snow. So as we head towards Saturday morning, we have the snow that's working its way into the area here. This is on the European model. But again, I think this could be a little quick on that switch over to snow. And then once that snow starts falling, it's going to take a little while for that snow to start sticking. So a lot of models are being shared on the internet showing 6, 7, 8, even I saw somewhere 10 inches of snow. I really don't think that's going to be the case here with this particular storm system. And to kind of give you another idea of what I'm talking about here, we can look at the temperatures. This is at 1 a.m. Saturday. We've got temperatures of 42 on the European model. We've got temperatures of 44 on the GFS, which is another model. And then by the 12Z, which is 7 a.m., that's where they have those temperatures dropping down below freezing. But I think that's going to be a pretty quick drop over just a few hours here in the tri-state. I think we could still be above freezing here at 7 a.m. So what does that mean in terms of those snowfall totals? This is what some of the models are showing, and you get the idea. I mean, these are being shared on the internet. Folks, we're not going to get a foot of snow out of this, so we're not going to get 8 inches of snow. So anything like that is just a bit absurd. I think 2 to 3 inches could be possible, and we look at something called the Schreff plumes, and that's where we get the ideas of what the models are thinking. This is a conglomeration of models, an ensemble, if you will. And the important thing to notice here is there are models that are showing 5, 6, 7 inches of snow here on the Schref plumes, and there are models showing 0. And that means there's a lot of potential for bust. There's a lot of variance that's still going to be taking place over the next couple of days as we continue to fine-tune this forecast. But based on prior setups, this has the good potential to underperform from what the models are showing. Now, I wanted to show another way of looking at this, and this is using a different program that just kind of shows a little better about how that storm system works its way in with the above freezing temperatures here. This is over at 1 a.m., and it likes to transition things over by 7 a.m., again, using the GFS model with that quick burst of snow for an hour or two on Saturday morning. Could still see some slick travel, don't get me wrong, but I think those 6, 7, 8-inch snowfall images that you're seeing on the internet are just not going to be likely here at this point. I think a couple of inches of snow would be a good point. Now, another way we can look at this is with the Weather Prediction Center, and they like to issue probabilities. So this is the probability of snow accumulating to greater than 1 inch. And this is for their own forecasting purposes. Where you see that red or that pinkish color, that's where we have 80%. So that means they're saying there's an 80% chance that we're going to be seeing snowfall accumulations of greater than 1 inch on Saturday in the Huntington area. It's at 70% in Charleston. That means there's a pretty good bet that we're going to see an inch of snow. Now watch what happens, though, as we move up the totem pole of snow here. We get to the probabilities of 2 inches of snow, and we've dropped to 60% in Huntington. So, again, 2 inches of snow, probably a decent bet. We're at 50% in Charleston, still a decent bet. But now let's go over to 4 inches of snow. And now those totals drop, those probabilities drop significantly. Now we're looking at just a 20% chance in Huntington, and we're looking at a 20% chance over in Charleston. Slightly more farther back to the west toward the side of River Valley, where the Weather Prediction Center at this point is expecting that heaviest band to set up. And then, just for giggles, the probability of 6 inches of snow is much lower. We're looking at 1% for Charleston, 5% for Huntington. So another group, the Weather Prediction Center, the federal group, they're saying there's a 1% chance of there being accumulating snow in the Charleston area and a 5% chance for Huntington. And as you guys know, you've got a lot better odds of winning a scratch-off than having that happen. So, again, take this information that you see on the internet with a grain of salt. I know it's fun to kind of see these totals and you can get excited about a lot of snow, but at this point it just doesn't look that likely that we're going to be seeing those kind of snowfall totals here across our area. But I do think in general a quick burst of snow for an hour or two is possible Saturday morning, and then we'll transition more into snow squalls, and I do think we'll see those snow squalls quite a bit here during the afternoon Saturday through the evening hours, and those could cause some visibility issues. It could provide another quick dusting to maybe an inch of snow on the accumulations. But again, I think at this point, 2 inches, maybe 3 inches, probably the max here across the region. We'll fine-tune and get some forecasts out here as we get closer to that time frame. But this is just kind of a quick update to show you what the current thinking is here across the region. We'll continue to keep you updated, but for now, I'm meteorologist Joe Fitzwater. Have a wonderful day.